Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Light Council series. I am so excited to have my guest here today, Brownell, to share with you all. She's got the most magical ability gift that she is bringing to the world, and I can't wait to dive right in. For those of you that are new to me, my name's Elizabeth Planson, and I am an activator, spiritual business mentor, and healer. So, my gifts are here to help activate others in their purpose, their gifts, their mission, bring it to the world, and help you through that with healing and multiple modalities, all the things. But enough about me. I want to talk to Brownell and hear all about you. Please introduce yourself, share with a little bit about what you do, what lights you up, maybe where you're from.
Yeah. As said, my name is Brownell Landrum. I'm the only Brownell Landrum in the world, so it's pretty easy to find me. Or it's not very easy to hide, I guess, is the
Yeah.
other way to look at it. I'm a writer. I call myself like this explorer of metaphysical mysteries. So I love to kind of look into all different kinds of topics. I've written fiction and nonfiction, and I know we're going to get into the latest nonfiction book that I'm about to release, which was prompted by a fiction book. I also write screenplays and songs. I have a new song out that's on Spotify and Apple and all these things. And I just really am here as far as my purpose. I actually think the thing we're going to talk about that I'm about to announce is my purpose. And it's just to open people's hearts and minds, to get people to think and to feel and to maybe look at things a little bit differently. I think that's a big part of what I'm here to do.
I love that so much. And you have like music out. Do you sing in them or you just write them?
On this one I co-wrote the song with my brother, and we hired a singer to do it.
Oh, so
So
cool.
but it's the theme of it was so powerful, and it was the book, a novel I just released, which we can talk about, as is broken into four sections, and one of the sections is called Christmas is Forgiveness. And so
Mm.
I wrote a song called Christmas is Forgiveness.
Oh,
And if
beautiful.
you think about it, it's such a great analogy, right? Because it's forgiveness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
forgiveness, right? So
Yeah.
it kind of makes that double entendre. And it's like, for Christmas is forgiveness, Christmas is for friends, and it's up to each of us how our story ends, is part of the lyric.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
love
it's like
that.
a really, really nice, really meaningful song.
Oh, that's so cool. So I
Yeah.
would love to know, like, how did you get into writing? Like, how did you find that that was your thing that you just wanted to do, for right now? And I don't, how long have you been doing it?
Yeah, well, I wrote my first book, gosh, almost 20 years ago. And it was nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through a really difficult time in my life. We all go through difficult times, so that's not that unusual. But it was a really difficult time, and like it was when it rains, it pours, and it was already getting bad. And I'm kind of in a meditative state, and all of a sudden I realized there's a reason why. Like, why did this happen? What are the reasons why? And so my first book is actually called Five Reasons Why Bad Things Happen.
That's a powerful book,
So
I'm
when
sure.
people say everything happens for a reason, I'm like, yeah, I wrote the book on it, literally. And so that's what got me into writing. Like, okay,
Hmm.
that was so cathartic for me to understand the why. And that's a thread in a lot of my writing, is like, what's the why? If you can get to the why, you can get to the solution, you can get to the healing. And then a few years after that, I tried writing fiction and got into like metaphysical, love stories. I call it, time travel love stories that are reincarnation driven, and had so much fun with that. And so I
Hmm.
kind of continued on that vein until this latest book, and now it's another nonfiction book. So
Oh, that's so I love that story. So, I mean, what is share with us this new book that you're releasing? Like, what is it called and what is it about?
yeah, well, I'll give you a little bit of grounding because it helps to get the context, right? So people
Hmm.
go, well, who is this person? She writes novels and she writes all these wacky kind of stories. Um, and what happened was I was writing, and I actually wrote it in these segments, and I was writing the semi-autobiographical book. And I was going through an experience in my life. I was doing a lot of traveling. You guys said, where am I from? I'm like, I don't even know the answer to that because I don't know where I'm going to be. I'm going from place to place. I'm literally in a hotel trying to figure out where I'm going to live. But I was traveling, and all of a sudden, this stuff was happening in my life. And I thought, I'm going to write this story, but I'm going to write it from the point of view of the upstairs. So, and then I realized while I'm writing, I'm like, no, they're telling me who they are. Like this became
Mm,
very meta and very real. And so I wrote that book in four segments. I published the whole thing in early September. The fourth part of that book gets into the world of wishes and wishing.
mm-hmm.
So if you can kind of imagine this place upstairs, and that's the word I like to use because it kind of segments it, separates it from religion and just says, okay, there's some other world. And it's a little magical realism. It's a little fun to kind of imagine, like you make a wish here and what happens and how is all the mechanism of all that. And one night I'm listening, this is a weird thing about me, but I'm listening to a lecture on neuroplasticity as I fall
Mm-hmm.
asleep. And I realized there's science in wishing.
Mm,
So the book that I am about to, and literally today is a big day because I just wrote the final chapter and now I'm
yeah.
going back through it to review to do the final edits of the book before I release it. And but it's called The Art and Science of Wishing.
I love that.
And so it goes into like when I was writing the novel, I had to figure out, well, what is a wish? And
Mm-hmm.
how are wishes answered and what are the answers to wishes, and how is a wish different from a prayer or a goal, right?
Yeah.
Like I had to get pretty granular writing the fictional world, and then I started thinking, wait a minute, there's science, and so the science behind it is really powerful.
Yeah, I think understanding the science behind anything really helps others, like helps you lock in the belief in it, right? And I believe as a manifestation coach, a mindset coach, like whatever you believe to be true is what is going to be true for you. It's what's going to happen. So it's kind of like if you understand the actual science behind the things that you're putting out there and why it and how to make it help it work, like how to get your wish granted, is that essentially what you're helping people do is have their wishes granted with the science?
Yes, I get into it's really, really it's so nuanced, and yet I try to really simplify it, right? But first to kind of distinguish what's the difference between a wish, a prayer, and a goal, right? And
Mm-hmm.
with a prayer, it's putting the energy out to something outside of you. You have no control
Mm-hmm.
over it, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
just releasing it to whatever higher power or energy or however you want to define that
Yeah.
force. And a goal is something you can control, right? You can go, okay, if I need to lose 10 pounds, what do I need to do? You can follow that goal. But a wish is somewhere in between. It's like that Venn diagram that's crossing. And so, because it's somewhat in your control and somewhat out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually something prompted, it's usually instinctive, right? It kind of fits those kinds of things. I mean, the thing that's so cool is have been wishing in every culture around the world since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And it was fun doing the research finding out like how important it was to human survival. That
Mm.
simple,
To
right? I
use
mean,
their
like
hope.
that simple, but that big.
Yeah.
And so so the one of the big premises in the book is how to take your wish from a wish to what I call a cosmic wish.
Mm.
Okay, and the word cosmic is a deliberate word and very powerful word, and it's got like how wishes definitions have three parts to it or
Yeah.
multiple parts, right? And the first part is the universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second part gets into it touches into the metaphysical or spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
and then the third part is it's vast and comprehensive.
Okay.
So you can imagine there's a wish and then there's a cosmic wish, right?
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
difference, right? Then you're taking
Yeah.
it to a whole other level. And so, and basically, what I'm suggesting in the book is the more you understand the science, the more you can elevate the wish, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what you're saying when you understand the science behind manifestation, it's not just some sort of fanciful thing, there's real science. And the more you can understand that science, the more you can open it up to skeptics, the more you can help solidify that system. So that's what I'm doing in the book is saying, okay, here are the things that affect wishes. Um, and it's everything from your conscious, subconscious, superconscious, and all those
Mm-hmm.
kind of dynamics. Also, where's your motivation and how to look at motivation so that that part's clear.
Right.
And then one of the big things that I propose, and right, and every scientist starts out with, here's my theory. Now let me see if
Mm-hmm.
the research proves it. But I say that every wish should have what I call the three P's.
Mm-hmm.
They should be peaceful, positive, and purposeful,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
once you take it to that level, and the science behind the three P's was super fun to find. So it takes it to that next level. And then I look at, well, what are the responses to wishes? Kind of what you were saying before, right? Like, how do people get their wish,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And it's a lot more nuanced than people might think. Um,
Yeah.
so the answers are simple, right? It's either yes, no, wait, or something better,
Yeah. Or something better.
or something better. But yes isn't always the best answer.
Right.
And
Right.
no isn't always the worst answer. It might just mean you need more information or there's more to it than what you originally imagined. Or maybe
Mm-hmm.
you wished for something you might not have should have wished for,
Mm.
right? And then wait might be the best thing that could ever happen to you, but it doesn't feel like it. And then something better we might not recognize.
Yeah, I mean, we use that term in the manifestation world all the time. It's this or something better,
Yeah,
right? So
right,
if it's not this, then it's something better because our human mind can't actually imagine to the full capacity or the full potential of what we can actually have or what we can actually do, right? So
right.
if you remove that control and you're giving, it's like you're giving that kind of like a surrender to the universe, source, whatever cosmic, right? You want to say, then
Yeah,
you're allowing more beauty to come in and opportunities to come in such beautiful ways. So I love that so much. And waiting for sure, like there's times that like if you don't wait, right, it may not be the right time. And then or you may not be energetically ready for this. I talk about this a lot in my work, like our capacity to hold on to the things that we actually desire may not be there because you haven't done the inner work to expand that capacity, the self-worthiness, whatever it is. And if it does come in your life when you're not ready for it, then you self-sabotage and you find a way to get rid of it, right? Subconsciously, without
that's
even
right.
realizing or not wanting to get rid of it, but it goes away because you're not ready for it because you needed to wait a little bit until you did something else over here, right?
You are
So,
so on the mark, right? That
yeah,
is exactly the kind of the message is it's either you're not ready, right?
yeah.
Which means, maybe that's just a checklist of things you need to do to be ready, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that checklist could take days or lifetimes. I mean, we don't know, right? And then there's the other aspect of timing, which is, and I get into this in the book, is maybe the world isn't ready for what you want or what you
Yeah.
what you plan to give, right? There's just maybe there's the timing, like you're ready, but there has to be a sort of divine timing if you want to use that kind
Yeah.
of phrase. So yeah, it gets into really interesting nuances like that, and then the power of collective wishing and wishing in groups and aligning and it's just it's so I mean everybody kind of smiles when you think about wishes and wishing, right?
Yeah.
It's so fun and friendly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's when you find out there's science, it just it's really cool.
Yeah, and so talking about collective wishes and everything like that. So you're also launching, it's a wishing circle, right? That you're launching in the beginning of the year?
Yeah, this is a big deal because I have not announced this publicly. So if you're watching this you might be like, oh, I get to be the first ones to know. Um, but yes, I'm launching what I call the Cosmic Wish Experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm calling it an experiment for a reason because we're figuring this out together,
Yeah.
right? It's not me saying I'm not a scientist. I might be a little science geeky to listen to neuroplasticity lectures, but
Uh-huh.
we're figuring this out together and it is applying the science, right? So and that's what just kind of imagine and finishing this last chapter of the book that kind of sets that up, like can you imagine, because it takes the reader through their wish and like what are all the elements of their wish
Yeah.
and how do you elevate your own wish, and then it's like can you imagine if everybody could do this, and then it's like can you imagine if we could all do it together,
I
right?
love that. Yeah.
And there's so much really cool science. Like if you look at history, cultures in history, the cultures that wish together,
Mm-hmm.
and use the ritual because there's usually ritual. And you can call that prayer, but you can also call that other, actionable items, right? So the wishing kind of crosses over into any of that. But those are the ones that thrived. Those are the ones that survived.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of us are seeing a lot of the challenges that are happening in the world right now. And what we need is, in fact, there's been so many articles and so many experts saying we need a movement, we need to unite. And I don't, are you familiar at all with the David Hawkins, The Power versus Force? Do you know that book?
I've not read it, but I would love for you to share a little insight on it.
Yeah, basically what he did, and I talk about this in a little bit in the book, but is like there's energy at different levels. I mean, this is going to totally resonate with
Yeah.
you. Is that there's kind of the lower level energies,
Yeah.
which might be despair, shame,
I read a different
whatever.
book by him. What's the other book that he wrote?
I don't know. I just
That
know power versus force. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's a totally different one, but keep talking. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
find it in my
So,
bookshelf.
and then it evolves all the way up to joy, right? Is the highest, kind of the highest level, I think.
Oh
And
yeah.
he scores and rates things on these scores. I know that the Abraham
This is the
teachings
one.
get into that too.
The
Oh
map of
yeah.
consciousness.
Okay. Yeah. So that's exactly. So if you look at he used colors,
Yeah.
but you can see the energy. Well, what's been happening a lot lately is that the lower level energies, if this is the midpoint kind of thing, they've been pushing us down between despair and anger, despair and anger.
Yeah.
We need to rise above that. Like we need to click right up here and go, we're rising above that. We're going to do this collective energy. We're going to be
Yep.
peaceful, positive, and purposeful. We're going to apply the science. We're going to take you through this really fun, free process, right?
Yeah.
Because it has to be simple, fun, and free, or people aren't going to do it, you know?
Right. Right.
And the science also says that too. So I have these, what I call the Cosmic Wish Playbook. So if you sign up for Wish Circle, you get one for free.
Okay.
And you put it, and I have a little tracker that you go online and you put in your track of your wish and how many times, and it takes maybe a few minutes a day, maybe, well, less than 5 minutes a day, and maybe 15 minutes a week to do the
Mm-hmm.
activity. So we're not talking about, your life turned upside down. But it is over an 8-week period because that's what neuroplasticity says you need to do,
Can you
right?
explain neuroplasticity really quickly?
Yeah, basically means our brains can change and evolve.
Okay.
We have plasticness, if you want to use that word, but our brains need to be trained to grow and evolve.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you probably, tell people when you work, like it's not just one and done. You have to
Right.
practice something to get better at it, whether you're trying to learn to ride a bike or whether you're, learning another language, which for me takes a lot longer than 8 weeks.
Right.
Um, but you have to practice. And so, but once you do, your brain can get into a habit. And then like, can imagine after this, everybody's wishes were peaceful, positive, and purposeful. Like
Mm-hmm.
everyone around the world, all of a sudden they're wishing for something that fits those criteria. And then they'll put that, transfer that on to their children. And then like, what could that do to the planet? And
Yeah.
it's so simple, but it's also really powerful.
It
So I know
is.
you know I'm excited about it. So I'm sorry, I'm just rambling, but
No, you're not. And I'm excited about it too. Like I'm totally going to participate in this because and I don't know if you're familiar with this, but this was in Dr. Joe Dispenza's book where he shares a story about how I think it was like in the 90s they did like a collective trans meditation in Washington D.C. for like 3 months over the summer, right? With the
yes,
intention of lowering crime by sending love to the city. And the officials and all of them were like, that's never going to happen because crime always goes up in summer. And they're like, we're going to try this experiment anyway because we have the belief that we're all connected. And if we send love to this area, this community, that they will feel it. And when you're in love, right? And that's a higher vibration if we're talking about, the scale of emotions,
that's
right?
it. Yeah,
It's love is like one of the highest emotions you can feel and the
right.
highest vibration. You're not going to be causing crime and hurting other people when you're in that state of love, right? So
That's exactly right.
what happened after 3 months? You wouldn't believe that crime reduced by like 25% or something like that. And it was insane. And so like that's the science behind a simple thing of just like what you're saying. If we all collectively put
I mentioned Dispenza in the book. I
do
mean,
you
I quote over 70 scientists in the
yeah.
book. Like it's
So
that trippy. Yeah.
yeah, so by like sharing this collective energy with everyone's wishes, you're going to be able to do that, right? And there's so many different rituals and ways you can do this, of course, right? And this sounds so beautiful and powerful. And so, definitely we'll share the link to join this, collective in the show notes and the description when we finish here, because I think
Yeah.
it's so beautiful and so
And I hope
fun
you start a
and
circle so that your followers and your
yeah.
friends and so yeah, that exactly. And so you can have your own wish.
Mm-hmm.
And the process, the 8 weeks, you'll have an individual wish, you
Yeah.
can join it, and then you'll join a circle that has a collective wish.
Oh, I love that.
And so, and the circle could be 3 people or 3 million people. I mean, it's the system, it's been hard work getting it ready to
Oh,
be
I'm sure.
scalable at that level. But it can be. And just like, even if it's something simple, like, well, this is not simple, but it's simple to explain. It's not simple to do. It's like, let's say we really wish for peace in Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, let's just pick that as something. And let's say we
Yeah.
start a wish circle for peace in Ukraine. By the end of the 8 weeks, who knows? Maybe you'll have launched a campaign for 1 million children to write a letter to Putin to say, please bring peace to Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like, and that could really make a difference.
for sure.
Like, can
So,
you imagine Vladimir Putin, President Vladimir Putin, the Kremlin, those letters going out, little things like that. So that, when you start getting creative and you start kind of repeating the wish, you're like, but what's in my control? What can I do?
mm-hmm.
I even have a grade school science class taking this on.
Oh,
Like, it's
wow.
that simple and fun.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll definitely be sharing this. But like,
Yeah.
my question is for someone that works with manifestation and is an expert in helping people manifest unexpected money and or just more money in their lives. What would you say to someone if they're like, I just really, my wish is to have more money in my life? Like, because some people might feel guilty about that, or they might feel shame, or they might think that, like, well, that's not really, they may feel like it's not a purposeful thing. I think you and me both know otherwise, like, or believe otherwise, right? As far as, I mean, I personally believe money could be a beautiful thing and used positively, right? And I have the belief the more money that you have, the more that you can give. So I don't believe it's wrong to wish for more money, but I would love to hear your perspective on it as like this wish expert.
Well, I think that and the book will take you through that. Again, I'm not trying to sell the book. The book,
Yeah.
is optional. You don't have to buy the book to do the program. The program's free. And a lot of the lessons in there are in there. Um, there is an important activity. I think it's week 3 activity is looking at want versus need.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we get caught in wants, but we don't necessarily get to the need.
Mm-hmm.
And in that particular one, the activity ties you to what we know for like storytelling. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and we can look at Luke Skywalker, right? Most of us know Star Wars, and you go, okay, what did he want? He wanted to have an adventure with his friends.
Mm-hmm.
What did he need? He needed to find his purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at something like money, make sure it's not money is something people have like a weird relationship with.
Yeah.
But if it's I need enough so that I need money to pay for my child's surgery,
Mm-hmm.
that's different, right? That's a different kind of energy.
Right.
I need money so that I can start a new nonprofit. Like I couldn't have started. I mean, I'm spending all my own money to start this wish thing.
Yeah.
So I'm investing in myself and I just thankfully had some. But if I hadn't, then wishing for the funds to be able to invest in something like this is a whole nother perspective. It is fun to look at stories like, if Legally Blonde, Elle Woods wanted to get with Warner and marry him. What she needed was to find out she didn't need him and she had a voice of her own, right? So when you reframe it in terms of what's the need, then you're taking your wish. And there's again science. I mean, almost every paragraph has a science attribution to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say
Yeah.
something, but then there's like science behind it. So that's what the energy is. So you can take away the dark side, and I have a chapter on the dark side of wishing, like when wishing can go awry or when you fall into certain traps. Um, so if you can frame it though in a way that's like beautiful, and then you can make it peaceful, positive, and purposeful. So it's not just money because I want more money than my next door neighbor, right?
No.
You know, and but to get out of the poverty loop so you can actually find your purpose, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
That's
So
a
you have the
very, very
funds to
big
take
deal.
the classes or like take the trainings or find the mentors or just take time off of a job so you can spend the energy finding your purpose. And I think too, like, even like, yeah, so here's the thing that I, believe to be true in manifestation is like when it comes to money, money is a tool, but money also wants a purpose, right? So you have to give that money a purpose. It wants to be used, right? We don't want to call in money just to have it sit in our bank account and hoard it and just have just money all the time, but having a purpose. So if you want money, right? Okay, you don't need to go on vacation, right? But if you desire to go on vacation so you can experience life to the fullest and experience all the beautiful wonders in the world and you can share that with the people you love, that for me is like a positive energy behind that, right? Where you're allowing yourself to dream bigger. So it's kind of like I totally resonate with your saying, but also and I don't feel like you have to have this grand, like, how am I going to impact the world by asking for more money? It could just be you're impacting your kids. It could be you're impacting,
Oh, totally. I
right?
like I said, it could be your
Yeah.
kids, operation. It can be a small your circle. Um, it just helps to know that it's a lot more beautiful to be for wishing for the need instead of the want, right?
Mm,
And also knowing the nuances that go along with it. In the novel that I wrote, I talk about what I call the three Justins, and they have the wish fairies. I have this little clever little world, and but they're looking at these three boys named Justin who are the same age, and they're all wishing for a bike for their birthday, and they're blowing out their
mm-hmm,
birthday candles, and one of them is super poor, one of them is kind of middle class,
mm-hmm,
and then one of them is, wealthy. And the wealthy wishes for the fanciest bike there is, like top of the
mm-hmm.
line, very specific. I want this electric bike, like super duper. And then the middle one just wants a bike so he can ride it to his job to walk dogs for
Yeah.
the neighbor's dogs, right? But he needs transportation. And so then you start looking at that. Well, the wealthy one might get their wish and they
Mm-hmm.
might get an accident,
Mm,
right? Or they get it and they're like, oh, wait a minute, it's out of date in 3 weeks. And now I got the fanciest one and it's not the fanciest one anymore. So it is important to get to, and those are all within their world, right? They're not wishing for someone else. They're not, but it still makes you look at wishes in a way that says, and then the way I write it is, what if the first one that is poor and their parents couldn't afford the bike, but a neighbor helps them fix one up?
mm-hmm.
There's a broken one in the neighbor, and then that's a lifelong friend who is his mentor and best friend, forever.
Yeah.
Right. There's so many nuances to that. So the first boy might have just needed a mentor in a way, to somebody outside the family to kind of show him another way and help him learn. And maybe he learned skills to help him fix other people's bikes.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why it helps to look at the enrichment for it, whether it's personal or, transpersonal.
Yeah, the experience that comes along with getting the wish. And I think that really what it comes down to is releasing control, like we talked about before, right? Like
Yeah.
surrendering how these things come in and what they look like. Like you may think, like you said, you wanted, this job over here. Maybe you didn't say that, but this is an example that's just coming to me now, right? Like maybe you wanted
Yeah.
this job over here, but really you needed this job, and it's still it's like even more fulfilling, right? And it's even more purposeful because you didn't even realize that this is actually what you needed rather than what you wanted.
That's
But
right.
also too, like it's just putting it out there. What is it that you would love to have? And how will that enrich your life? Like in what way, right? Like what is that going to do for you, and for the community or the world? In what way, right? Your family, however it is. How is that going to expand you? How is that going to grow you? And surrendering the how of it coming into your life and what it looks like, right?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
absolutely right. So,
Yeah.
and the surrender is nuanced in that there's science in the surrender. right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're owning the fact that once you release, and there's really cool studies that I cite in the book. I got over 200 and something citations, right? There's cool studies that say that surrender, there's a science to that, and
Mm.
that holding on too tight is actually can be counterproductive from brain science point of view. So
Yeah.
it's not there's it's also almost like you give up the control so that you have more control, if
Mm.
that
Yeah.
makes sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
it's
well, we're
cool
giving up the
stuff.
resistance. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so interesting. So, oh my gosh, this has been so beautiful and just even like I'm sure we could talk about this all day because I know I could.
Yeah.
But definitely we'll share the link for people to join the free experiment. If there's like one, thing that, you can tell people to that they can start implementing in their life right now when it comes to wishes, to help them bring that into their life or just make their life more positive. If you're able to give us like a tip or a practice, that would be so helpful.
Yeah, and I think you alluded to it, and I kind of hinted a little bit, but I'll make it more practical. And it's actually tied to my first book as well as my latest book, and because everything in my life is all coming together into this particular initiative. But if you can imagine that we have three selves, right? We have a soul or some part of us that existed before we're born and will exist after we die, and that soul chooses a body to become us.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the three selves, right? Is the whether you call it mind, body, spirit, or conscious, subconscious, superconscious, or I like inner self, outer self, higher self,
Mm-hmm.
whichever vernacular you use. When you know that your subconscious is your body, and then you can start making friends with that part of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And one good analogy I give is like imagine you see a neighbor walking their dog, and the dog runs off.
Mm-hmm.
Too often we see them yelling at the dog. That's not going to get the dog to come back.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say to the dog, hey, it's fun over here, the dog is just going to run and go wherever you say it's fun.
Yeah.
So that's the same. That's my advice is get to know your body and make it fun.
Okay.
Whatever you're avoiding, whatever you're resisting, if you can make it fun and work it out with your body. And I happen to be a big proponent of having a name for your body, so you have a different name for that part of yourself. Um, and my first book, as I said, is about the 5 reasons why bad things happen. Well, one of them is subconscious sabotage.
Mm.
And that's a big part of wishing is to know when and where and how you might be sabotaging yourself. And
Yeah.
so if you can make friends with that part of yourself and remember the dog analogy going, it's fun over here. You're like, oh, I don't want to do this cleaning, but you want to blast the music loud. Then all of a sudden cleaning is fun. Or if you say
Mm-hmm.
to your body, I know I got to finish this chapter. I've got to finish this project. And you're like, how about this body? If you help me focus for the next 2 hours, we're going to go do something fun. And your body's like, okay, I'm up. You got me. I'm with you. So
Yeah.
that's my suggestion for the day, if that helps.
Beautiful. I love that. And really it's just reframing, right? Like taking the thing that you're putting meaning to, that it's a negative thing and turning around, how can I turn this around into something fun? Going back to that fun piece, right?
Fun is important. Fun is scientifically important,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Positive and impactful. So beautiful. Thank you so much. Where is the best place for people to connect with you or, reach out to you if they wanted to just talk more to you or, about find your books?
Yeah, well, as you know, I have a Facebook group called Life is a Trip Reincarnation Stories. So if they're into that kind of thing and want to hear about my novels, that I have novels I reached a trilogy I released last year that's about a famous couple from history who's reincarnated today to fulfill a prophecy that will change the world. So if you're into reincarnation stories, whether fictional or factual, that group is for you. And of course, I'm on Facebook, and my author page is the best place to connect me there. You're going to give the link to the Cosmic Wish Experiment, which will have a Facebook group and also all the information to sign up and get started for that program. Whether you want to start a wish circle or you want to join one, it's all almost all set up. So it's
Very
very,
good.
very close. And it's going to launch in January. And just as an FYI, it'll launch in January, but you don't have to start your wish circle then, right?
Mm.
It has to be 8 weeks, but it can be any 8 weeks. So just as a clarity, it's not like we're all going to be wishing the same wish
Yeah.
at the same time.
So good. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again. I hope you guys enjoyed this beautiful conversation to help elevate and awaken the world. Until next time, we will see you again.